It's that time of the week here again where we give you the latest and greatest. We got a full weekend here for the new season of July, additionally Lord of the Rings. So much action going on, and I'm excited to bring it to you here in today's weekly series, Friday Night Meta. Thank you for tuning in. Down below, you'll find the timestamps where we walk through each of the formats, best of one, best of three. Have our outtake as we always do. Now, if you have a question or comment throughout, let me know and come swing by the Discord server, say hello, and join the community discussion there as well. All right, so here's what we got going on for standard best of one. Some changes. Big one here, as always, that we've seen kind of evolving is really the departure of Azora soldiers. A big reason that is just in terms of popularity, it's not making it into that top 8. It's still a fairly solid list though, nonetheless, so don't forget about that. It's always interesting to see that, but that is a big piece because this is more of what's happening right now, more of what's being played, and that's important for us to pay attention to. Now, we do have mono white humans, we got the aggro and mono red list. We do see Selesnya enchantments that's kind of falling down. We do have mono black control and mono black mid-range, Zora's control, and mono blue tempo, which is pretty diverse in terms of what we're seeing. It's not totally aggro, and then additionally here, it's still fairly single color, but we do have the 2 in there as well. So heavily dominated by these top 4, burn, aggro, humans, and enchantments, and then kind of that second tier stuff right there. Now, as we look at this popularity over time, like we talked about, mono red burn, mono red aggro, the other 2 kind of falling off, mono white staying similar. We do see this rise in Azora's control as well. Everything else kind of being flat. And then win rate over time, mono white humans still doing the best, but it has taken a little bit of a hit and a little bit of a dip. We do see tempo coming up. We see Azora's control kind of falling down. These other ones kind of staying fairly steady Eddie there as well. So that is where we're at for standard best of one. I don't think there's really much mythic yet. So we'll wait until next week. And then in terms of best of 3, here's what we got going on in best of 3. We do see these massive jumps in Esper control and dimmer mid-range. A couple other things moving back up here too in 5 color domain. So as we see that here, you got that Orzhov mid-range. We got the Esper Legends, and again, mono black control, dimmer mid-range, 5 color domain, Esper control, mono red aggro being in there as well, and then Azora's control in here on the right, really dominated by dimmer and Esper, followed up closely by 5 color, well, not really closely, but close in this pack here, between 5 color domain, mono black control, and mono red aggro. Then as we look at what's going on in terms of win rates, we do see stuff bouncing around quite a bit. There's that Orzhov. We do have that mono black control also playing fairly well, which is interesting to see because you do kind of see these trends still moving around, but good things nonetheless to pay attention to as things continue to evolve here in standard best of 3. All right, let's go ahead and look at Alchemy. What's happening in Alchemy? We do have that Lord of the Rings set. Here we got Rakdos mid-range, Zora's control, Grixis mid-range, 5 color legends, mono black Nazgul, Golgari mid-range, mono red aggro, and mono red burn. So a lot of things moving around. Mono red had been very popular for a long time, and that's what we see here. Obviously, again, with the set release, we got a few things bouncing around, and with the new month and new series, as always, in terms of competition with the reset, we do get some changes, and that's exactly what we see. We see that burn popping up. We see a lot of move around here as well, which is always healthy to see in the meta. Now, again, popularity, really the top 3, then kind of the next 3 in terms of what's sticking together. We really see red and black propelling right now, as you can see there, in terms of what's happening with this particular Alchemy best of 1 meta. Then as we move to best of 3, here's what we got going on here. Jund Legends, Rakdos midrange, 5 color reanimator, and Grixis midrange. Again, Grixis midrange, very popular. We see that 5 color reanimator, very popular. And then here's what we do see is that Jund Legends doing really well in terms of that mid win rate relative to the rest of the pack. All right, time to move on over to Historic. Here's what we got going on in Historic. Azora's control at the top, outpacing Is It Wizards. Also Rakdos midrange outpacing Is It Wizards, even though Is It Wizards is still heavily played. We got mono green elves in there still, Abzan Sacrifice in there, Selesnya Squirrel Twin, mono red aggro, and Mill. And then here again, you see that play. We see that Rakdos mid-range really popping up. And then here on the win rates, we see Azor's Control really moving up. That's a big, big shift. Is it Wizards still holding fairly steady? We do see Rakdos moving back up. And then some of the other stuff bouncing around there as well. All right, let's check out best of three. Best of three here for historic. We have Rakdos midrange, Is It Wizards, 5-color Reanimare, 4-color Kethis, Abzan Sacrifice, Mono Green Devotion, Jund midrange, and Azor's Control in there. Heavily dominated by Rakdos and Abzan. And here we see those moves really bouncing around in terms of what's being played. Lots of movement here, which is always good to see. A big, big pop off here in terms of Rakdos. We had one originally in Jund midrange, kind of falling back off. And then you see everything else kind of moving around. We see that recovery in Mono Green Devotion. Azor's Control moving on up as well. Is It Wizards kind of regaining there a little bit? So things to keep an eye on here for best of three historic. All right. That brings us to our last one, Explorer for best of three and best of one. We have Mono White Humans, Azor's Control, Slays and Angels, Rakdos Sacrifice, Greasefang, Convoke there. Mono Green Devotion, Rakdos midrange not doing super good. Dominated really by these two at the top, Devotion and Angels, followed by Humans, Convoke, Abzan, Greasefang. Everything else kind of close in that space. Here we do see Slays and Angels really falling off and Mono Green Devotion really coming up. The other one's kind of creeping up. And we do see Mono White Humans doing a really, really nice job, again, popping off. We do see Rakdos midrange falling off. Boros Convoke doing a little bit better there, and Azor's Control popping up. So a few things to keep an eye on there in terms of Explorer best of one. And as we migrate over to best of three here, we do have Azor's Spirits at the top. Rakdos Sacrifice, Abzan, Greasefang, 5-color Fires, Mono Green Devotion, Rakdos midrange, Mono White Humans, and Azor's Control. Again, big 2-1s, Rakdos, followed by really the next 4 there in that space. And here's what we got going on in terms of popularity. Again, lots of stuff moving up, which in this case, when that happens, a lot of other things moving out of the meta. And then here is Azor's Spirits doing well in terms of win rate, had been doing very well there too. So those are good things to keep an eye on in terms of what's happening as things continue to kind of bounce around here in Explorer. All right, last but not least, what's going on in Brawl? Here's what we got going on. We do have Atroxa at the top, Ragavan, Itali, Emoti, Aragon, Sauron, Smeagol, and Tom Bombadil. So lots of players wanting to play the Lord of the Rings stuff. The Lord of the Rings stuff not doing real good in terms of the competitiveness as it is. And then here you can see those popularities. We do see a lot of these things falling off. And some of the other stuff starting to come back into the meta in terms of popularity. Again, we see those pretty significant falls. And then win rates over time, again, increasing the spread because the other ones aren't doing as good. Ragavan moving back up there. We do have Itali popping back over Emoti. And then you can kind of see Aragorn there kind of being really the winner out of, so far at least, out of the Lord of the Rings there. So that brings us and makes us conclude today's Friday Night Meta. Thank you for tuning in for our weekly series here. As always, any questions, any comments, we'd love to hear from you, and feel free to come swing by the Discord server, say hello, like I said, join the discussions there. Always an active crew, so thank you for that. Lastly, I just want to say thank you in general. Thank you for your support. Appreciate the likes and the subs. As we continue to grow this great community, we have got other great ways to stay connected down below. On top of that, a lot of great content here on the channel already, and more coming your way all the time. With that, I wish you the best, and take care. Enjoy. We got a lot of things moving around, which is always good, and we're doing a lot of fun decks as well. So till next time, we'll see you again soon. Mythras out of here, and thank you to all the members for that additional support. All right, we'll see you again. Take care.